Hey
Oh my
everyone, I'm
goodness.
Meghan McCarty Carino. Welcome back to Make Me Smart, where we make today make sense when we actually know that the show is
Yeah,
happening. It's
yeah.
Friday, August 8th. Kai and Kimberly, they're both out. So today you get me and Nova Safo talking to you
And
today.
me. Yes, good to be back and great to be back with Meghan McCarty Carino, my friend. Thanks all of you for joining us on the podcast and on the YouTube stream. This is Economics on Tap Friday. We're going to dive into some headlines, but we'll also get drinks and game coming up as well after the break. So grab your beverage of choice and settle in.
All right. Should we discuss
Uh,
our beverages?
Drinks?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nova?
yeah. Okay, don't hate me, everybody. I had to go with coffee again, even though I got my nap in. I was gonna go with a really great red wine that is my favorite label, but I'm gonna save that for another day, so I'm not gonna tell you what that is. But today instead, I'm gonna go with a coffee that's made special beans though, made by a company
Magic
that
beans.
no, that specializes in making beans that work well with fully automatic espresso machines in your home,
Oh.
which are kind of finicky and
Yeah.
require a special type of bean or a special type of, roasting the
Huh.
bean. I don't know, but it does
The
make it taste
robots
better.
are demanding.
Yes, yes, they are. And my robot, by the way, I am in love with my fully automatic
Mm.
espresso maker. It is the third most important appliance in my house.
Mm. Mm.
What are the HVAC one,
Okay, yeah.
refrigerator two,
Yeah. Okay.
espresso maker three,
Mhm.
and yeah. So that's what I'm drinking. What you got?
All right. So I wanted to do an Olympics themed
Mm.
drink, and I know Kimberly lit her drink on fire last week, so that was taken care of. So I thought of like what my favorite summertime Paris cafe drink is, and it is a pastille. Which is,
Oh,
like an herbaceous. I chose Ricard as my base drink, and then you add the water, and it gets all that milky, beautiful color.
it looks
Um,
gorgeous.
so yes, I am enjoying
Give
a
it a
little
sip.
pastille.
How is it?
It's very savory and licoricey and herbaceous. It
I'm a
feels
little
like
jealous.
like a Provençal garden in my mouth. It's
Oh
great.
my goodness. And can we talk about that lovely glass? Also, it
Oh,
almost has like a
this is
French look to it.
it's a vintage glass. It has like a
Yeah.
picture of Yosemite on it. It actually was
Oh,
my grandmother's. It's one of the
it's
few that are
gorgeous.
remaining that I haven't broken at parties.
Oh, you got
So
to save that one. That's a beautiful
yeah.
vintage glass.
Yeah.
All right, what are folks drinking? Spicy peach margarita. How great is that? Pomegranate
Ooh.
margarita from Lewis Smith. Love that too. Red wine à la ferme. I'm not familiar with that label. Is that a
Hmm.
label? Explain, please. Let's see. Ranch water on ice,
Wait.
per usual.
Okay.
Ranch water is capitalized.
Is
I
it
feel like we're
ranch
supposed to know
flavored
what that
water?
means. I don't know. I hope not.
Okay.
Juice of watermelon, lime, and
Isn't it tequila and soda?
Oh,
Is it? Okay.
is
It's
it?
tequila and soda. Thank you for saving us. Okay, tequila
Yeah.
and soda. Uh,
Ranch flavored water.
someone's
I don't
drinking
know.
straight water, which you cannot go wrong, Karen. Karen Schroeder is drinking water. Always a good choice. Let's see what else we got. Smirnoff red, white, and blue. Anything?
Hmm.
Is that anybody know what?
That's Olympics themed, I think.
Olympics themed? Fair enough.
Sure.
Sazerac rye and a big ol' ice cube.
Okay.
We need Kimberly here. She'd like get all this. Peach beer. Ew.
To each
Sounds
their
terrible.
own.
To each their own. Yes, thank you, Kristen Schroeder, for explaining it as well. Ranch water is tequila and
Oh my
soda.
God,
Good
we're
to
so
know. Sake.
clueless.
We are clueless. Someone's drinking sake, watermelon sugar. Anyway, yeah, lots of interesting choices today from our audience. A lot of interesting drink choices, which is awesome and to be expected because we have a smart, cosmopolitan, worldly audience,
Unlike the
right?
two of us.
We should say Kai and Kimberly have a smart
Yeah.
cosmopolitan worldly audience, which we are currently abusing.
Yeah.
So yes, great work, everybody, on your drinks. Lovely, interesting
Should
choices today.
we
And
get to the news?
let's do the news.
Okay. Well, I only want to talk about the Olympics still.
Let's do it. Go for it.
I brought some Olympic stuff, kind of a wrap up. Closing ceremony is on Sunday. This has been a very successful Olympics, definitely for NBC. They have sold record-breaking amounts of ads on these Olympics, 1.25 billion at last count, and still climbing. The viewership has been really good, much better. The ratings have been much better than the last two Olympics, the Tokyo and Beijing Olympics, which were kind of a little down in the doldrums on the ratings. And one of the reasons that they think that this Olympics is doing really well, aside from some of the obvious ones, like it's cool, to watch them happen in a beautiful city that I think everyone romanticizes. And, there are some absolute superstars in the Olympics that have given amazing performances. Our medal
Including
count
that French
is
pole vaulter.
doing great. Yes.
Which Google it if you don't know what I'm talking about. We won't get into the details.
Yeah, we know over here. But also NBC seems to have finally stuck the landing with Peacock.
Oh, look at you.
See what I did there?
I saw what you did there. Yep, I did. This is why I appreciate you.
How many stories have I done for Marketplace about what's up with Peacock?
What's up with Peacock?
What is the purpose of Peacock? What is it doing? Because in the past, Peacock has not really done that well. And past Olympics on Peacock have not really done that well. In fact, an NBC executive said at one point that basically viewers had expressed that they had kind of given what he called the collective middle finger to the Peacock coverage. So they put a ton of effort into improving Peacock, for the Tokyo Olympics, for the Beijing Olympics. It was kind of derided as super glitchy, having really bad user experience, being really hard to navigate through the menus. And they really seem to have figured it out this time. There's this thing called the gold zone. There's this multiple view thing. You can search by every, sporting event. You can find only Simone Biles's highlights. You can go by athlete.
Really?
You can go by, there are comedy shows. You can watch only Snoop Dogg's bits on the Olympics. You can find any granular thing on there. And crucially, I actually didn't realize this, but it is the first time that they have aired all of the events in real time on Peacock. They actually had not done that before. Some of the big events they had been worried would cannibalize their audience for prime time, which is obviously where they, sell a lot of their advertising. But this is the first time that they pushed all of the live events in real time onto Peacock. And they have found it did not cannibalize their audience for prime time. It actually seems to have just added to it. I mean, I don't know how you've been watching or if you've been watching, but I will often sort of have the big event of the day on, during the day. Sidebar,
really?
a survey
While
that
you're
NBC
working
is touting
on your job
has shown that 1 out of 4 people have become less productive during the workday because so many people are watching the Olympics during the day.
Is that right?
But so
including
I'll sort of
you, Meghan McCarty Carino.
But I just watched the one event, and then I kind of just to see, just so that I can see the moment. And then I will watch the prime time. Also, I really like watching the Paris in prime time for all of the special features and, to get the full kind of narrative arc and all the emotional stuff. And they really edited it into a nice package. So I like watching the prime time. And then, of course, you know, all the viral moments that show up on social media today. It was the breakdancing, some pretty good memes coming out of the breakdancing. This was, of course, a new event for the Paris Olympics. Unfortunately, will not be reprised in the LA Olympics in 2028, I guess. This is the one and only time we're going to see this in the Olympics. But yeah, I mean, there's just been some great social media, you know, fed by the fact that there is just so much content, you know, getting pushed out on Peacock at all hours of the day and night. And I think sort of causing people to do repeat viewing, wanting to watch again at night, maybe with their family. And it's been really good for Peacock.
The audience agrees with you, by the way. Patrick Henry, Peacock has made the Olympics fun to watch again.
Mm-hmm.
No one, Jason Hildreth, no one enjoyed the Olympics more than Snoop.
What?
And,
whoever made that decision, boy, they are, I mean, what a great decision that
I'm not
to
sure.
be.
I saw like a few clips, but what is that about? I don't actually
He's just
know,
been hanging around. I mean, he's like a
just hanging?
co-host. He's just
Is that
hanging
right?
around, being Snoop. It's been great.
That's awesome. Nicholas on, you know, listing some of those stuff he's watching: kayaking, sailing, windsurfing, speed climbing. Speed climbing is a thing?
Yes, it's a new
I
one.
did not. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yet another one I'm looking forward to not watching.
You're really like harshing the mellow on this Olympic stuff,
I'm
Nova.
sorry. No, it's great. No, Olympics are amazing. I just haven't, you know, it's like I kind of
because he has to
catch
fall
the
asleep.
viral moments. Yeah, I catch the viral moments. I have yet to watch the opening ceremony. It's on my list, but I gotta say, I know
it's so good. It's so bizarre. It's just so French. It's so French. I love it.
Oh my goodness.
So
what
weird.
takes only someone's like, it only takes 6 seconds. I'm like, what only takes 6 seconds? I missed something in this conversation happening online. Anyway, yeah, a lot of people are loving the international version of the Olympics coverage on Peacock, they're saying. Did you catch any of the international versions?
No, I haven't caught that.
Apparently, yeah. Okay.
There's too much content.
Oh, yeah. Speed climbing apparently only takes 6, wow.
Oh,
4.5 seconds to scale a 12-meter wall. What is that in feet? Someone do the math. No, I'm kidding. No, I mean, I think right now, I think people are really hungry for some new, for something that's uplifting, and the Olympics are really kind of capturing that moment, I think, for the world. And it is kind of magical to see the Olympics happening in Paris. I think we've seen some amazing images coming from the, you know, the divers going into the Seine, those shots of them jumping into that water with Paris. And, I mean, those are pretty magical views that we don't usually see those kinds of things. It's often a lot of the imagery coming out of Olympus can look really antiseptic. You know, it's in these harsh lit stadiums, you know, and everything looks blue lighty. And here you had everything just looked so vibrant.
It's just photogenic.
I mean, just visual. It is very photogenic.
Yeah.
And less political too. Yes, Edward Martinelli writes. Yeah, I think people are ready for something other than politics.
Absolutely. But you're going to take us back there.
A little bit into politics, not too much. It's really more about about how economics and politics intersect. Former President Trump made some news yesterday in his press conference at Mar-a-Lago, and the reason we're talking about this is because it is a really important this part of it that he talked about. It is it's such a key part of our economy and such a key pillar of America's economic strength that it is worth discussing. He was asked about the Federal Reserve and how much say a president should have on its decision-making when it comes to monetary policy. And we're going to play a bit of what Trump said.
I feel a president should have at least say in there. Yeah, I feel that strongly. I think that in my case, I made a lot of money. I was very successful, and I think I have a better instinct than, in many cases, people that would be on the Federal Reserve or the chairman.
That's gotten a lot of attention because the Federal Reserve for, I think it's fair to say at least the last 40, 50 years has been relatively, it has worked very hard to keep itself as separate from politics as possible in terms of, stressing that the decisions they're making are simply intended to fulfill their mission, which is keep inflation steady at a rate that is considered healthy for the economy, which is currently thought to be around 2%, and to also their mandate now full employment, or to try to get as healthy a labor market as possible. So when you start to talk about the president having a say in monetary policy, which undergirds our entire economy, people get a little nervous because political considerations don't always jive with economic considerations.
Right.
And sometimes we have to swallow tough medicines in order to get the economy going again. And who gets to pay for what? How harsh should a certain sector of the economy have to suffer before for the whole to, these are tough questions.
Yeah.
And so the fact that he raised this as kind of winding back some of that autonomy has gotten a lot of eyebrows today, and a lot of comparisons to the Nixon era when it was last thought. There is some debate over it, but it's last generally considered the time when a president really pressured and a Fed chair succumbed to that pressure, at least to some extent, to ease monetary policy, increase the money supply, which then has the effect of allowing for more cash to be in the economy and juices up the economy. In any case, in that era, that was blamed as the wrong response at a crucial moment in the economy in order to help the president's reelection bid. Instead, what it did was cause rapid inflation at the same time as we had a recession. I mean, it was that double whammy.
Right.
It was really painful.
Stagflation.
And it took over a decade and 2 painful recessions engineered basically by the Federal Reserve to get out of that inflationary spiral. So, people have, those who have studied this generally tend to be very skeptical of going back to an era where the president could have strong influence over the Fed chair. So that's I have to say too, Trump isn't unaware of this necessarily. I mean, he says that he's given other interviews in which he said that he wouldn't fire Jerome Powell, though he suggested he might, or maybe he might, or doesn't like him, or whatever, even though he appointed him.
He originally nominated him.
Appointed him, yes,
Yeah.
Nominated him for the chairmanship. He's acknowledged that, the Fed shouldn't interfere with elections by changing interest rates to help a particular candidate near an election. So he's aware of these issues. And what he says is that he thinks, Trump believes, it's a Trumpian thing to say, that he can do a better job in the sense that he thinks that there's a way to lower inflation while at the same time giving people relief on interest rates. And he believes you do that, he's said in other interviews, by dramatically lowering costs in other areas, such as, for him, the number one is energy. He thinks that by reducing and removing regulations on the oil industry, it would allow for more oil pumping and cheaper energy prices throughout the American economy. It's important to note, America today is pumping out more oil and natural gas than it ever has in I believe, its entire history. I mean, it's a record amounts. So there's multiple layers of questions here that I would want to ask the former president about. Yeah. Have they gamed this out in a kind of a longer scenario, and how do you deal with those domino effects? But that was he definitely got a lot of attention for those comments.
I mean, especially in the context of there are a number of other policies that he has suggested. I know people don't always take everything he says, as, okay, that's a policy that would actually get enacted, but he has suggested a number of other sort of policies that would also be pro-inflationary, like reducing immigration, increasing tariffs.
Tariffs across the board.
Right.
Yes.
More tariffs. All of these things would sort of also push into the higher inflation kind of direction. So, I mean, and we should note that there are some constraints on what he could actually do vis-a-vis Fed rates, right?
Maybe. I think there's some debate. He sparked a lot of conversation today about this, and I was reading one thing in Axios, about saying what are those constraints? What does he face constraints? Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. Trump's one thing you have to give it to him is he's found ways around constraints in the past. He's which is typical of someone who may be like only thinking about running a business, right? You would say, oh well, if there's an obstacle, how do we get around it? That is your first kind of next thought. How do we get creative and get around it? But government doesn't necessarily work that way for many reasons and many good ones. But I think. I'm not sure if those constraints are real constraints. I mean, one of them brought up is, the Senate has to confirm his choice of chairman, and the Senate can insist on a nominee who says they will remain independent of the president. That seems kind of wishful thinking in my mind. The president, at least in terms of if the Senate is controlled by the party of the president, it generally will support their own party's, leader in who they want to appoint to these key positions. And I think that goes for either party. So I'm not sure if that's a real constraint, for example.
Yeah. I mean, it just continues to sort of bring home, I think, the fact that so many things that I think we have taken for granted over the last several decades in politics are normative, not necessarily like legally bound, right? So
exactly.
Yeah, the idea that, you can't possibly, a president should not put pressure on the Fed, in press conferences or something. I mean, there's obviously no laws against that. That's just been a norm that has been upheld.
A norm that's developed and kind of our practice along the way. It's interesting. I think the Trump era has shown so much of the way we run our government, our democracy. A lot of it is based on norms and kind of shared values. And then when some of those get questioned, it can throw things off balance, and then we have to kind of reassess. Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, shall we move on from the news and have some fun? We're going to take a quick break.
Shall we? Yes,
we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll play a round of half full, half empty. We'll be right back.
Yeah. By the way, I meant to, we're back. Yes, we're back. Hello, everybody. We're about to play a game, but I wanted to say, I forgot to mention that Peacock has my favorite TV show.
Really?
It's a procedural called Poker Face, starring Natasha Lyonne.
Natasha Lyonne. Oh my God, the best. So good. And
I love that show.
One of our engineers worked on the sound for that show. Did you know?
Really? Which one? One of our many talented engineers?
Yes.
I don't know. Are we allowed to say I don't know who is it? We don't know. Well, in any case, one of our very talented engineers, our own Drew Jostad, who's joining us to play Half Full, Half Empty. Take away, Drew.
All right. First question, are you half full or half empty on cash prizes for winning Olympic medals?
I don't know anything about this. Do you?
Well, so different countries have very different cash prizes for winning Olympic medals. Like in the US, I think it's pretty paltry, but I believe in Hong Kong, if I'm not mistaken, it is like it's like $1 million or something if you get a gold medal. Like there's different countries that have
750,000.
Okay.
750,
pretty close.
Wow.
Yeah. And
China would argue with you about Hong Kong being a good country, but all right.
Right. We're going to start an incident right now. But yeah, no, I guess they do have their own entrance into the Olympics. So, yeah, but I mean, I'm half full on this. I don't know. Maybe I haven't considered the downsides, but it seems.
Yeah, are there downsides?
Like a positive to me. Drew, are there downsides?
Drew?
I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be what you're supposed to tell me.
Oh, wow. Drew's a little spicy today.
He just wants us to do everything. It's like,
I know. We've been talking for like 30 minutes.
Downsides.
If you can't think of a downside, then there's your answer.
No, it's great. Yeah, it's half full.
Because
I think, by the way, our audience agrees. Everybody's like, yes, full on, please. Give these
yeah.
very deserving people money.
Yeah, and I think
Um,
in a way that is like it's for the performance. It's for
yeah,
their actual athletic performance. It's not like,
yeah,
oh, I'm gonna, win a medal so that I can get all of these like secondary endorsements and things like that. Like it seems very fair. It seems also for sports, where there's not kind of like a really long um amount of time that people are in the spotlight for the smaller sports and things like that. I mean, you hear constantly about Olympic athletes and they're working full-time jobs and they, can barely pay their rent. Flavor Flav is stepping in to pay their rent for them because they can't. This
yeah.
is some stuff that
Was that a thing?
happened. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I
Flavor
think
Flav was,
there was some controversy about some of the athletes having certain online presences on certain websites to
yeah.
subsidize their
Right.
their
Right.
endeavors.
I heard about that. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I
So
think a
I'm
lot of the
half full on
audience
it.
is. Yeah, I think that one thing I did read, I lost on the chat who said it. Sorry about that, but they did suggest, is this like college athletes? Is there a question of amateurism versus professionalism? And this is supposed to be, the Olympics are supposed to be celebrating amateur sports.
Right.
So there is that argument to be made, which
Mm-hmm.
I
That
think you
it's
could
that
make that argument.
there's
That there's a
not
spirit
that
of
you
the
just
game involved that's not supposed to be
right.
about money.
That just it just seems impractical to me.
Yeah, I think, yes, there's a way to do that, but also, yeah, Ellen Rolfes, the Olympics originally were designed for amateurs, but the rules largely changed to allow big-name pro athletes to appear at the games and
Right.
attract more money and attention to the games. So
Yeah.
there we are. That's
Okay.
maybe a thing of the past.
I mean, I
All
will
right.
say that I don't think that the countries offering a cash prize does this, but I do think that the more sort of like star driven the Olympics become, where it's just like about all the NBA players and, people
Mm-hmm.
who are already famous outside of the Olympics. I'm not so in favor of that, but I don't think that countries giving cash prizes for medals does that. So
Yeah, I think we're all, generally speaking, half full.
yes.
What do you got,
Next
Drew?
topic.
Next.
In a statement, Costco says it's deploying membership scanning devices at the warehouse entrance. Are you half full or half empty?
Oh my god.
What? It's supposed to be the honor system, and you just waving at the employee as you walk through.
I
Who's
know,
at
and
the
like, what
door.
about going to the food court and getting the $1 hot dog when you don't have a
I
membership? Like,
know.
this is a
This
human
is
right.
wrong. I know. This is totally wrong. What are you doing, Costco? And also, wait a minute. Does this mean people have to get in line and scan? And what if the scanners are slow or what? What?
The
I mean,
idea
they
is
have-
they're
so they have
cracking down
been-
on membership
yeah.
sharing.
Yeah.
Membership sharing.
I know everyone is all
Why?
about the
Why?
password
Let 'em
sharing, membership sharing.
Let them share membership. What is it really that big a deal to share a Costco membership? This seems
Sounds like a half empty.
I know.
half empty for me.
Okay.
They are one
here,
of the
but-
most successful retail businesses, hands down. Quarter after quarter after quarter, they've got it down. I think they can afford to let people share memberships and
I'm
still
very
be
curious about, kind of
just
how
fine.
much they make on the memberships versus just the shopping in the store. Because it's not a huge amount for
No,
membership.
I think it's more about getting people to keep
$45
coming
or
back over
something.
and over and over again. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I love Costco. I am a Costco member. In general, I feel like if Costco is doing it, it's cool, but I don't know. I think everyone should have the right to just go into Costco. I'm half
I
empty on
know.
it too.
You're right. Half empty. Some folks are saying that do make a lot of money on memberships. I am not looked at their bottom carefully at their.
Yeah.
I gotta say at their quarterly report, so I can't really speak intelligently on this. But wow. I know they're known to be just such a friendly. They have a
Absolutely.
really positive reputation. I think
Like I
with their
remember
customer base.
During the pandemic, they were one of the few companies that sort of proactively did hazard pay, and they kept it for a really long time. Yeah, they're known for having kind of very good, benefits, and being very like having a social conscience, I guess.
Next topic. Disney, Six Flags, and Universal theme parks have all reported weak results in recent quarters. Are you half full or half empty on a theme park slowdown?
I mean, I haven't visited a theme park in a very long time. I know.
Me neither.
I'm not a theme park person, but
I think a lot of people are really upset by how much they've raised the prices. Not just Disney.
Oh my gosh!
But especially Disney, I think, and they've acknowledged in some of their recent public statements that people are kind of pushing back on some of the price hikes. I think first of all, this phenomenon was only what they reported as a slowdown. It's a minor slowdown, and it's only in their domestic theme parks. So we're talking Orlando and Anaheim theme parks, which is a big part of their business. It
is making the lines shorter for the rides, I heard.
Maybe.
I did.
Maybe. Is that right?
That's what I heard on today's show. Or yesterday's show.
So maybe half full. I mean, maybe a little bit of pullback is good, and then folks can also take.
There's always a rebalancing.
Do some diversifying in how they spend their vacations. So,
but also, I think the sort of amusement park revenue was maybe balancing some of the streaming stuff for Disney, which they did say they posted a profit on the streaming finally.
Yeah,
so
turning it around.
But
thanks to sports.
I miss the days of peak TV when we had that just, subsidized, excellent TV streaming, everything for almost free.
Like pennies. Yeah.
Yeah.
No ads whatsoever. Yeah. That was great.
So what are we? I think I'm half full on the theme park slowdown, I guess.
Me too. I'm half full, and I think we will be
everything balances
just fine.
out.
I think so too. I think it's maybe even with a little bit of a slowdown, demand supply, maybe the prices will come down.
Right. That's what I see people commenting. Yeah.
Are they? Oh, there you are. Let's see what they're saying. Now we can complain about how only rich people can afford to go to theme parks. That's funny. Mark. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. Anyway,
so
national parks.
Final topic. Yeah.
Someone mentioned national parks. They're not expensive. Most of them are free, if not totally free. I think there is some price involved, right? You have to get in. There's a pass to get in on some of them, at least, in parking spots. But it's hey, you can go to those at any time. An actual park. Yeah.
All right.
Plenty of those around.
Wait, so you're on record as half full on this?
Half full. Yes.
Okay.
Disney will be fine, I'm sure.
Okay.
Okay. What do we have next?
Okay, so final topic. This is going to be, we're bringing in the YouTube chat, so get ready to weigh in the live poll.
Here we go. The poll. Yeah. Drum roll.
Last topic. Are you half full or half empty on celebrity book clubs?
Explain, please.
This is like the Oprah Book Club or the Jenna Bush Hager Book Club, Reese Witherspoon Book Club. They're just often on daytime talk shows, and a lot of the majority of the titles selected for them end up on the New York Times bestseller list. It's like a huge deal in publishing to try to get your book on one of these book clubs.
What's the argument for and against? I mean, for is obvious. What's the against?
Again, Drew, saddling you with a not your job.
Didn't you say earlier that I was an audio engineer?
This is your job, sir.
Well, okay.
Get voting,
so
people. You have like 30 seconds.
See, maybe some downside would be just that you know, when these celebrity book clubs choose a book that they just dominate the bestseller list to such an extent that it crowds out other voices because it's such a huge platform, especially when you're talking about someone like Oprah or Reese Witherspoon. I mean,
Yeah.
I am finding it hard to find like a legitimate downside. I mean, generally, I often find like the culture, or like I don't often find myself to resonate with the culture around these book clubs a lot. You know, they kind of, they do have kind of like a midday talk show
A
kind of
certain vibe a lot of times.
around them. But I mean, books need all the help they can get. So if that help comes
Yes.
from Oprah and Reese Witherspoon, more power to it. Half full.
First of all, Reese Witherspoon is created an empire. Oh
my God,
and
she's
so I think that's
amazing.
amazing. Let's see. Before you said it, you're not supposed to say it until after the poll closes. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Should we close the poll? What do we think? Let's see what the results are. They're only supposed to get a minute. It's been 2 minutes.
Ugh.
So you guys got extra time. Wow. Half empty, 55%. Half full, 44%.
Wow, people are so
It was pretty
half-empty about it.
close. Pretty close. I wonder what our audience, there are also allegations about kickbacks for celebrities who recommend particular books. That can't be right. I'm sure that's not true. Who knows?
So there's a little payola going on?
I doubt it. I mean, does Oprah really need a kickback?
No.
No. But maybe, I don't know, maybe there's something to it that I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar with this story again whatsoever. So, but I'm also half full actually. We are against our audience today.
I know. We're
Our
bucking the
audience is a bunch
trend.
of crab apples. Yeah.
I don't know. Yay, books.
Yeah, but I think, I could see an argument that, certain, celebrities, having outsized influence on what sells could also impact what gets picked up for publication, what gets, what gets crowded out, other variety of topics, other variety of ways of writing, things can get pushed to the sidelines, but that's always been the case in the major publishing industry in general. So I think they could use all the help they can get, and I think the positive here is that it's not just Oprah anymore. That you have multiple major names with book clubs that are thriving, and I think that is the real half full for me. Yeah.
Thoughtful.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for us today. I'll be back with Kai on Monday, which he probably doesn't know. Yeah. Thanks, God. Sorry, I forgot about the sting. I'll be back with Kai on Monday. Until then, send us your comments, questions, and suggestions. We're at 508-UB-SMART, or you can email us at makemesmart@marketplace.org.
Make Me Smart is produced by Courtney Berg-Seeker. Today's episode was engineered by Jake Cherry.
The team behind our Friday game is Emily McCune, Jamila Huxtable, and Antoinette Brock. Marissa Cabrera is our wonderful senior producer. The equally wonderful Bridget Bodnar is the director of podcasts. And the just okay Francesca Levy, just kidding, Francesca, you're awesome too, is the executive director of digital and on demand. And that's it for us
They're
today.
going to have you back on Monday?
I don't know. Have a good weekend, everyone.